Ontario, a famous couple meets a famous quintet. Elizabeth and Philip, breeding the DIONNE quintuplets, exchange a bonjour with the 17-year-old sisters, who are among Canada's most notable personages. It's the end of their Canadian tour for the royal couple. Next stop, USA. The flying visit to Washington provides Princess Elizabeth's first look at the United States, and vice versa. 4,000 people have come to Washington's National Airport to give a royal American welcome to the heiress to England's throne and her husband, the Duke of Edinburgh, as they step from a Canadian Air Force plane. She wears a raspberry red coat and a brand new velvet hat. First to receive them in this country is President Truman, accompanied by Mrs. Truman and daughter Margaret. And amid the thunder of a 21-gun salute, the President says, "Welcome to the United States, Your Royal Highness." Philip renews his acquaintance with Margaret Truman as an honor guard puts on a show for the guests from Britain. From the airport in an open car begins a 7-mile procession through the capital streets. The princess riding by the side of the president. He chats in fatherly, informal fashion with her, calling her my dear. Philip, Mrs. Truman, and Margaret follow in another auto. 500,000 people line Washington streets to get a look at the couple. Elizabeth's schedule is a crowded one, and she barely has time for a change of costume before hurrying to a press conference to thank America for its welcome.
My husband and I thank you for this welcome to Washington. Seeing so many of you here brings home to us in a vivid way the vast scale of the press, radio, television, and newsreels of this country. And I want you all to know how deeply my family and our whole country were moved by the sympathy and, I might say, affection shown to my father, the King, by the people and press of the United States during his recent illness.
Elizabeth and her husband find that America's easygoing ways are easy to learn. It's an informal but heartfelt welcome from a young nation to the young princes of an ancient one. Like any other couple, they go sightseeing, with Mount Vernon a must. Elizabeth lays a wreath on the tomb of George Washington, who fought the armies of her ancestor, George III. Then in Arlington National Cemetery, another wreath is placed on the tomb of the unknown soldier as the royal couple pays tribute to Americans who gave their lives fighting for their country. In a spirit of solemnity, but of friendship too, Princess Elizabeth of England and her Duke end their visit to the United States.
In Washington, Frank McKinney, new Democratic National Chairman, is greeted by predecessor William Boyle, who is under congressional fire for receiving fees from a company given federal loans. McKinney warns he'll tolerate no influence peddlers. General Lawton Collins, accompanied by Mrs. Collins, is welcomed in Saigon by General de Tassigny, Commander-in-Chief of French forces in Indo-China. The American Chief of Staff is on an extended tour of the Far East. Collins' visit to Indo-China indicates new U.S. support in the struggle against the Soviet-recognized Viet Minh. From the Korean truce talk village of Panmunjom comes encouraging news as the communists end the deadlock by proposing a new armistice line. Captive balloons ride the skies as markers to keep planes away from the neutral area. Every effort is made to prevent any incident which might halt negotiations. The Red Delegates arrive. In the circus tent where the meetings are held, they agree with the UN negotiators on where to stop the fighting across half of Korea. Meanwhile, a disaster ironically produces American truce talk casualties. 14 8th Army engineers are injured by an exploding hydrogen-filled balloon close to the conference site. The wounded men, carried to the two same helicopters which brought in the UN negotiators, are flown to a nearby base hospital. On the front, U.S. Marines make perfectly clear to the enemy the advantages of a truce with the biggest rocket barrage of the war.
Giants. Otto Graham sends a pass to Dub Jones in the first play of this battle for top spot in the American Conference. Keep moving, Dub. You're being followed. The Browns go ahead, 7-0. Again, the Browns try the aerial route. Graham fires to Cole, who bobbles to Landry. It's an interception, and it spells touchdown for the Giants, who tie things up 7-7. It's still first quarter. The Browns punt, and the ball sails to New York's Emlyn Tonnell. Tonnell fumbles, and Horace Gillum recovers for the Browns, getting to the 29. Graham goes back, but he has a tough time finding a receiver for this Cleveland pass. Finally, he lets it fly. In the end zone, Danny LaVelli makes a great circus catch. The Browns once more go ahead 14-7. The Giants fight desperately to make this seesaw battle tilt their way. Chuck Conerly heaves to Joe Scott for 42 yards. But the New Yorkers get a heartbreak along with their touchdown. The pass succeeds, the conversion kick fails, and the Browns win 14-13.